Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Rachel and welcome to my Lightlark reading vlog. So, if you do not know what Lightlark is, Lightlark, written by Alex Astor, is a new YA fantasy book that came out recently and has a ton of buzz on Book Talk. That is how I stumbled across this book. The premise of the book sounded interesting to me and there was so much hype surrounding it that I had to see for myself. So here is the book right here. I did order the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. Really, really beautiful. And also the naked book is gorgeous as well. So I wanted to do a dedicated reading vlog for this book because I was very excited to read it, and I think just because there has been so much talk about this book, I thought it would be good for me to put out one dedicated video that you guys could come to, see what I think, and see what you think for yourself. So I do want to say before we get started, there has been some conversation around this book, some negative conversation surrounding this book that has mostly been going on Book Talk, and then if you look at the Goodreads reviews, that I thought that I would just kind of touch on. If you don't know, some people were upset that I believe the author had advertised and marketed certain scenes and certain lines to kind of entice people to get excited about the book, but then people got their copies of their books and arcs and those scenes and lines were not in there. I definitely think that that is a 100% fair criticism. I think if you were super invested in those scenes and lines and in this book after seeing her TikToks, I would definitely be a little bit disappointed and a little bit peeved by that. I was not somebody who saw those videos and kind of got invested that way, but I did just want to touch on that just because I know that that is something that has been talked about a lot. I think it's a completely fair criticism, but I did just want to say that I'm going into this book going to give it a totally fair shot. I have seen a ton of 1 and 2 star reviews for this book, and I've also seen a lot of 5-star reviews. I feel like it's very, very skewed, but I want to give this book a fair shot. I want to like this. I am really in a fantasy mood right now, so I'm hopeful that this will be maybe a new potential favorite, but I want to give it a fair shot. If it's a good book, I'm gonna rate it well. If it's not a good book, I won't rate it well. So now that all of that is out of the way, I did actually start this book. So I am on page 73, so I'm really just in the beginning of this book. But let me tell you what this book is about and kind of my thoughts thus far. So Lightlark follows Isla, I believe. Her name is spelled like Isla, but her name is Isla. She is the ruler of the Wildling realm. So in this world, there are a bunch of different realms, and there is this sort of curse and prophecy put on this whole world that basically at the centennial, all of the rulers of the realm have to fight to the death in order to break the curses that have been put on them. Isla is the ruler of the Wildling realm, as I said, and the Wildlings are known for being temptresses and seductresses. They kill their partners, I believe, and so Isla definitely wants to represent her people well and break the curse for them. We meet a cast of characters, the different realm rulers, and they're all very different. They're all very interesting. We have Skyling, Moonling, Sunling, Starling. We have a lot of different cast of characters here. I'm still a little bit confused the differences between them, but I've met the characters and we have started the competition already. So really we've just been following Isla, entering into this competition, partaking in these sort of demonstrations and trials that are going on, and we will see who ends up dying and if the curse and prophecy can be broken. That is kind of just scratching the surface of what this book is about. I'll add more in as I go. So my thoughts so far, I will say this is definitely YA fantasy. YA fantasy I think can really be a broad spectrum within itself. I have read YA fantasies that have very complicated worlds and magic systems, and it's very impressive, and I've also read very simple YA fantasies that don't have super complex magic systems, world building, characters, anything like that. And there's nothing wrong with that. I think that there's just different books that serve different purposes within the genre. I will say that this is very straightforward so far. I don't think that it is super complicated. However, I am a little bit confused on a few of the plot lines, and not because it's complex, but I think because some information is not really being explained or it's not really being fleshed out. Something else that I think is of note so far in the book is this is extremely fast paced. And I feel like when you have a fantasy novel, and this is going to be the first book in a series, we get to know our main character, their history, their world, and then we meet the cast of characters kind of slowly, not too slow or anything, but I just feel like this is an extremely quick intro. We're already into the competition, we've met everyone, we're full steam ahead. I think that that is causing me to not be super invested in Isla as a character yet, and I still feel like there are some certain things about her history and who she is and the Wildlings and then all of the different realms that I think if we had a bit more time with them, if we were able to get more background information and just kind of slowly meet their characters, that would be beneficial. I do think there is so far a lot of showing versus telling. I'm not super big on critiquing technicalities commonalities in writing unless it very, very much stands out. I will read books that have all different like levels of writing and skill. I really appreciate a super well-written, beautifully written, well-composed novel, but I also like to read books that are kind of fun, straightforward, the writing isn't too complicated, and like we just have a good time. I would say that this is definitely like the writing is pretty simple, it's pretty straightforward, but I just feel like we are moving a little bit too fast, and just kind of, as I said, we're meeting people and I'm not quite invested in them or sure where the plot is going, and I just don't feel like we are building the world as well as we could be. There is also a romance aspect of this book so far, and the character that we have met that I assume is going to be Isla's love interest, I feel like we're supposed to be very enthralled by him. I feel like he's supposed to be this big, bad, morally gray, you know, dark-haired love interest, but he feels very surface level at this moment, and like we have just been told that he's this big bad guy, and I just don't really feel like I've seen that at all. He just feels a little bit one-dimensional at the moment. I am only on page 72. I am 100% willing to let this book change my mind. I just think because of how quickly we are moving and how much we have been told certain things and just kind of been told this is how this character is, this is how this dynamic is going to be, and I don't really feel like I've seen that yet, I will say. So I definitely I'm curious to see where this book goes. I am having fun reading it though. I know it kind of sounds negative, but it's not. I think that you can 100% enjoy something but still critique it. Even if I were to give this book 5 stars, there are valid critiques that are out there that I will never argue with and that I'm finding myself. So that is the type of reader I am. I do think that you can give a book like a good rating and really enjoy it, but still acknowledge some flaws within the novel. So that's kind of where I'm at. I am having fun, I will say. I'm listening to the audiobook. I really, really like it. And I do think that while I am a little confused on a couple things, I'm kind of like, let's pump the brakes a little bit, Alex. I'm curious to see where this goes. So that is my thoughts so far. I know that that is a lot, but because I am just doing like one book for this vlog, I definitely want to give you guys kind of my very detailed stream of consciousness thought process while I read this book. That is where we are at overall so far. I am enjoying it. I think there are some flaws a little bit with how the plot has been laid out so far, but I am willing to see where this goes, and I do hope that it ends up being a fun time. I think that so far from what I've read, this book has a lot of potential. I think this could be really fun, and I'm really looking forward to continuing reading it. So that is my first check-in for this vlog for Lightlark. So I am gonna go, I think like clean the house, listen to more of the audiobook, and I will talk to you guys in a little bit when I have more to say. Hello besties. So it is the next day. I have read a little bit more of Lightlark, so beautiful, and I have thoughts. I have a lot of thoughts. Number one, before we get into my thoughts, if you can see the makeup on my white sweatshirt, no you cannot. Second of all, I definitely think that my reading updates are going to be a little bit all over the place, a little scattered, because that's kind of how my brain feels while I read this, in a good way and in a bad way. At the end, I will have a nicely wrapped up and sort of concise, well thought out final review of this book, but I'm all over the map right now, so just strap in. Let me talk about where we are plot-wise in the novel, spoiler free of course. I don't know if I've mentioned that yet, but this will be an entirely spoiler-free vlog. So let me talk about where we are plot-wise, and then I will talk about my reactions to things and how I am feeling overall. When we last left off, all of the different realm rulers, Isla included, have started to, you know, partake in this official competition for the Centennial, and they all have to partake in trials. Each of the realm rulers hosts a different trial, and it's basically to test the wills and strengths of the different realm rulers, kind of to feel each other out and test each other's strengths and weaknesses. So like one of the trials was, you know, having to present something that your land and your people have created for the world that would benefit and comparing it to others. Another one was just like sword fighting, just like general kind of battling it out, duking it out. And that has kind of been the process so far. We are still sort of in that part of the competition. There is also another subplot that is going on. I won't get too much into it, but Isla is essentially trying to find this item that she believes will break the curse that has been set on Lightlark and all these different realms. So kind of a loophole to the prophecy that she and all of the other realm rulers are participating in. We still have only gotten like a little bit of information on that, so I don't really know like how invested I'm supposed to be in that storyline, because it's sort of just like this thing on the side of her sort of going through these different libraries trying to find it, but she's also very much involved in the competition and participating in the prophecy, and she knows that like somebody has to die at the end of this. I think she wants to find this item and then potentially someone won't have to die, but once again, TBD. So that is where we are right now. We are watching Isla and all of these other realm rulers participating in trials. And then I think we are going to be getting closer to where the realm rulers are going to be breaking off into pairs and teaming up, and then maybe we will get a little bit more action. There are still a couple things about the writing and sort of just how the book has been put together that, you know, do stand out to me a little bit that I think are worth noting. I think one of the things that I really wish that we did, and I did talk about this a little bit yesterday, that this book is moving very fast. It is extremely fast paced, and I think that we could really use just like a little bit more time and detail into some of the things going on, particularly the trials. I would love for us to have sort of like, not like super long descriptions of the trials, but a little bit more detail, because I feel like it's just, we find out what the trial is, they do it, maybe there's one or two incidents, but they're very short-lived, and like we move on. And I do wish that those were a little bit more detailed. I would have loved to see when it was Isla's turn to host a trial, I would have loved to see her thought process, how she came up with it, how it would be beneficial to her or to the other realm rulers or everything. I kind of wish that we saw more of that, but it was pretty quick. You know, I was just kind of like, I want more of this. I'm not like mad at it. I'm just like, overall, this novel could benefit, I think, and I never say this, but maybe from being a little bit longer, or maybe just spending more time on things than others. So in my reading today, that's pretty much the only thing that stands out in a negative way that I'm like, yeah, this could be done better. I do wish that we were getting more information on this, because I think that it would round this story out a little bit more. Oh, also, we have just like been getting more of Isla is this baddie bee. I have not seen that yet, and I'm not saying she is the opposite of a baddie bee, but I just like feel like we haven't really seen a lot of her skill and her expertise that she allegedly has. Like, people are describing her as like a general in war, and she's this amazing fighter and nobody can beat her, and I'm like, I have yet to see this. I would love to. Like, I'm rooting for her and I'm excited, and I hope that she can do whatever it is she's going to do. I just wish that we saw more of that and weren't just like told that this was a thing. That is a critique I will say as well. All of that being said, I have been reading this book today and I have been having so much fun. I don't really know how to like grapple with, I see these obvious flaws within this book. I see that there are like objective writing issues and the plot is not construed in the greatest way. I am seeing things that I'm like, oh, I wish that that was fixed because it would make this a lot more satisfying, so on and so forth. I'm still having a lot of fun. And I think that this book, it's not gonna be for everyone. Not everyone is going to like it, but I personally think that this is just good classic YA fantasy goodness. There is a big range, as I said yesterday, in YA fantasy and what makes a YA fantasy good, but I feel like if you just think of like kind of good, fun, a little bit cheesy, but like still interesting YA fantasy, that is what we have here. I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying it. I am. I'm enjoying it a lot more than I thought I would when I started it yesterday. I think this is really fun. And I've said, like, I do see the issues within this book. I'm not gonna argue with you if you read this book and you're like, Rachel, that was terrible. I'm gonna be like, honestly, like, that's valid. I'm just kind of accepting it for what it is, and the issues within this book are not overshadowing my enjoyment of this book. That for me is where things change. If the like writing issues or like the plot issues really start to override the things that I'm enjoying about this book, then I will feel differently. But as of right now, I'm like, are there issues with this book? Yeah, but like, is it kind of a silly fun time? Yes, and that is right now kind of pulling me a little bit stronger. One of my favorite things about this book, and this is definitely a good thing within the author's writing, is the author is doing a great job at describing the setting of this book and this world and Lightlark and all the different isles, and like, it's really cool and it's really easy for me to imagine in my mind. I do feel very transported to this world. I feel like I am alongside Isla while she is going through this competition situation, and I'm loving that. That is one of the biggest things for me when I read a fantasy. If I don't feel like I'm hanging out with the main character, like I'm going along for the ride, I'm not gonna like it. You know, I need to feel transported, and I think that the author is really paying extra special attention to providing detail of the setting, like the palaces, all of that sort of thing, and that has been really great. That is a strong point within this novel, I think. So I really like that. Isla herself, you know, she's not like the coolest character I've ever read in the world, but like, I like her. I think that she's fun. I do, once again, I want to see her being the coolest, amazing, toughest broad out there. I haven't really seen it yet, but she doesn't really have that, like, you know, sometimes in YA fantasy, there's just like kind of that classic annoying, main character syndrome situation. I don't think that she is like that. And I'm getting curious about this plot, and I feel like we're going in a very interesting direction. There is definitely something that everyone else in this book knows except for Isla. Like, everyone knows something, and Isla and me don't know what it is. Like, they have been hinting at things, they have kind of been acting mysterious, but Isla is kind of just like, okay, why are people acting weird? Like, what's going on? And I'm like, girl, same, I don't know. And I'm very curious to see what it's going to be, because as of right now, I don't know. I have no idea. I wonder if maybe like the prophecy that one of these realm rulers has to die is going to be like interpreted in a different way, and like Isla is going to be like a chosen one or something. Like, I don't know. That's me just speculating. I have no idea, but I am intrigued, to say the least. Like, I'm having fun, and that at the end of the day is like why I read. That is the number one most important thing to me. I'm not the most technical reviewer. I am not somebody who is going to harp super harshly on details of the book and like the structure of the novel and everything, unless they're like very glaringly distracting me from enjoying the book. So I'm really liking the book. I do see that there are flaws within this novel. I'm never gonna fight you on that one, but I'm having fun. I am very intrigued to see where the rest of the book goes. As I said, I'm only 33% of the way done. I feel like I have a lot to learn, a lot to see, and I'm excited, and I hope that Isla just like does something cool. I don't know. She's not super lame. She's just kind of like a fine main character. Like, I don't have anything great or terrible to say about her. I just honestly want to get back to reading it. So that's exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to go sit down and read more of this while I listen to the audiobook. Also, the audiobook is so great. I love the narrator. I want to figure out who she is because I really like her voice, and I want to listen to everything she's ever read. I don't know if that makes sense. I don't know if you are watching this and you're like, I'm so confused, how you feel. Basically, yeah, are there issues within this book? For sure. But overall, I'm having a lot of fun, and I'm intrigued. I'm excited to see where this book goes. So as I said, I'm gonna go read. I will get a bit farther into this book, and then I will update with you guys soon. Hello besties. So I am actually close to finishing Lightlark, and I was like, oh my god, I need to check in. So the last time we talked, I was 33% of the way into this book. I am now 75% done. I have less than 100 pages left. I think I'm at about 90 pages left, and we all know the last 100 pages of a fantasy book is always going to be crazy. I will say, from where I last spoke to you to now where I am at, plot has developed a lot. There's a lot going on. There are a lot of movers and shakers. Like, things are happening, and I have been loving it. Like, I'm having, I know I keep saying this, but I'm having a great time. I'm super intrigued. I'm like fully locked into this story now. I am excited to see how it ends, and I don't know how it's going to end. I have a couple theories, but I don't know how we're going to get there. So that makes me really happy, because even if I can kind of guess a plot twist, if I can't really guess how that plot twist is going to unravel, I just feel like that's a positive thing that I always enjoy. I don't want to like fully and completely know how a book ends before it ends. I'm excited. I could be totally wrong though on my assumptions. I will let you guys know just like if I was right or not. I won't tell you what my theories are, but the more I read this book, the more I'm loving Isla. She has become a little bit braver and bolder, and she has interacted a lot more with the other realm rulers, which I've enjoyed, so I've got to know them a little bit. I do still wish, just because I'm loving the different characters so much, I do wish that we got more on them. Like, the lore and the character background, I feel like could use a lot more in-depth discussion, but I do appreciate that Isla is interacting with them more, so I am getting to know some of the realm rulers on a deeper level, which is really great, because they are all, even at the surface level, pretty interesting, pretty different, and I just want to know more about them. So things have been going crazy. There were some big revelations, there were some big reveals, and oh my god, I don't know how this book is going to end. That is really all I will have to say. The more that I read this book, the more that I am absolutely having a blast, and I'm so excited to see how this book ends, and I'm just like, oh my god, I don't know. It's definitely putting me in the biggest YA fantasy mood after I finish this, and then like once I'm back from vacation, I just want to dive into YA fantasy, because this has been like a gem of a reading experience, honestly. So I will talk to you guys when I finish the book. I will hold like my final rating, my final thoughts, of course, until the end, and I'll see how I feel after I finish it. So I will talk to you guys soon. Hello besties. All right, it is time. I literally just finished Lightlark. My god, I am feeling a million emotions. I am so excited to talk about this book because I absolutely loved this book. Oh my god. Who would have thought honestly, when I look at the first clip of this vlog, I'm kind of like, yeah, it's okay. There's some problems though. Like I wasn't really feeling it. But the more that I read this book, the more that I enjoyed it. So 100%, I just want to start off saying this book was a little bit clunky to start, but as we got deeper into the novel, my enjoyment just increased so much. And I was so heavily invested in the story, in the plot, in these characters. And I'm so excited about this book. So the ending of this book was wild. Of course, it's the last 100 pages of a fantasy novel. That is what happens. I did sort of guess the plot twist, but I had no idea how it was going to happen or how we were going to get there. And I was happy with how that all played out. There are multiple cliffhangers at the end of this book that I am just like, oh my God, when is the second book coming out? I need it now. And I'm just so excited to see where this series goes because we have so many options. We have so much more to discover, so much more to learn, and so much more for Isla and the other characters in this book to go through. I also really did start to enjoy the romance aspects of this book more as the book went on. I felt like that was something that was a little bit weak, especially in the first half of the book, but as we kept going, there were lots of surprises, there was a lot of exciting things being revealed, and I am also excited to watch those storylines as well as just the fantasy plot unfold in the rest of this series. This is a series that I 100% see myself going out on release day of book 2 to buy it. Like this is one that I will not want to wait for. This is going to be a highly anticipated release for me whenever book 2 comes out. I am hoping next year, but I'm really excited to continue on with the series and see where else Alex Astor can take us in the Lightlark universe. Also, I do want to say the rights to adapt this into a movie, I believe, were purchased by Universal, or I don't know if it's just been like optioned. I don't really know all the lingo, but the author has said that this is getting turned into a movie. And I think that this has potential to be an amazing adaptation. I think for the type of book this is, the pieces of this story, I think could be translated to screen very well. As I said, the imagery in this book was very well done, I think, and so it was very easy for me to imagine this in a movie. And oh my God, if this does get made into a movie, I will be there opening day. Some of the criticisms that I had early on in this book, and honestly throughout, do still stand, but they really do stem from I just wanted more because I was enjoying the book and I saw like how good it could be. And so I do wish that we got more lore and background on the characters. I do wish that the first part of the book slowed down a little bit. We got more details, we got more explanations, we had a little bit more of showing instead of telling, but I still did enjoy the book overall. Those things did not bother me so much that I wasn't able to still have fun reading this book. I definitely think this book is not going to be like amazing for everyone. I think it's just kind of going to be a personal preference, and the criticisms that I have seen of this book I think are 100% fair and valid. Overall though, I had so much fun reading this book. It left such a good feeling with me, and I've decided to give this book a 4-star rating. So I loved it, you guys. I low-key was like, I'm gonna give this book like 3 stars, like max. When I first started it, I was like, ugh, I don't know, but truly the novel just hit its stride maybe around like the 40 or 50% mark, and then I just flew through it. I was so excited by it, and I 100% recommend, if you've read a lot of YA fantasy and you enjoy it, 100% go pick this book up. It was so much fun. I am so excited to see what happens with the rest of the series, and I am just so glad that I ended up loving this book because I really did not know how I was going to feel. So that is it, everyone. That is my Lightlark reading vlog and review. Let me know down in the comments if you have already picked this book up. What did you think? What did you rate it? Or if you are planning on picking it up, just let me know kind of how you're feeling about it and how you think you're going to like it. If you have made it to this point in the video, go ahead and leave a red heart emoji down in the comments below. I feel like a red heart is very representative of all that encompasses this story. As always, my Instagram and my Goodreads are linked down below. You are welcome to follow me on there at any time. I really appreciate that you watched this video. I hope that you guys are having a fantastic day, and I will catch you guys in the next one.